that you can find new ways to be social, new ways to learn to be creative, new ways to engage with each other as an online community, even though we can't be together in person. Today, I want to talk to you guys specifically about social media. And I just want to open your minds to the idea that social media is not just for fun and games. Social media is also business media. And thank you, Maya. Thanks, Virginia. Thanks, Terry Ann. Thanks, Jayana. Thanks, Samaya. Thank all of you for participating with me. And we're going to do more of that throughout today's session. So if you guys can still see my screen, let me know. This time I want you to give me a thumbs up so I know that you can still see my screen. And you can do that either through your video or through the emoticon, just so I can know that you guys are still with me and that you can still see my screen. Yeah? All right, good. It's a party, Shivanya. All right, so you guys can still see my screen. And this just tells you who I am. And the awesome young lady who did the introduction for me did it well. So I don't even have to emphasize it anymore. But I wanted to let you guys kind of know who I am so that you can be like, who this woman is talking to us? Why is she even here? So some of you, if you watch early morning television, you might know that I'm the host of Bahamas at Sunrise. But outside of being the host of Bahamas at Sunrise, I have a communications company. And so we do social media management for lots of different people. And I also am a coach. So I train people on how to speak, how to be on camera, how to dress with style. Earlier, the conversation was about what Paul said about women and how we should not just be consumed by how we look. And we shouldn't be consumed, but we should care because it does matter what we present to the world. It also helps us to feel really good about ourselves when we are dressed well and feel good about what we have on. So I also help women with style. And then over time, just walking in the light of God. And this is, I think, the most powerful thing for me to share with you. To thine own self be true. Just being myself, letting that light shine, living in that space where I was a promise and a possibility, as I would sing in church, even when bad stuff happened, even when I had friends that left me and I didn't understand why they weren't friends anymore, even when I had bad breakups with my high school boyfriends and I was sad, and even when some things went wrong and, you know, people might have done some things to me that were hurtful to my body and hurtful to my spirit. Throughout all of the bad things, I was always continuing to let the light of God shine through me. And I will tell you honestly and truly, as a result of just being my authentic self, my real self, the person that God called me to be, always being prayerful. I got to know God intimately, spiritually at a youth discovery when I was 13. And he just has always been in charge of my life. And because of all of that, God just blessed me abundantly to be able to create a social media following. And so by the time that Instagram came out a couple of years before maybe some of y'all were born, and I joined it in about 2009 or 2010, whenever it started. Between then and, no, it wasn't that early, y'all. Instagram started much later than that. This would have been 2014 because I was just supposed to get married. So between 2014 and 2017, which is just 3 years, I was able to go up my following to 10,000 followers. And then after that, I became very intentional about doing certain things. And now I have 14,000, almost 15,000 followers.
I'm one of your followers.
You're one of my followers?
Yes.
Girl, you tell me from the start, Shivanya.
I follow you from day one.
Thank you, Shivanya. Shivanya is my people, y'all. So, and so I've been able to do that and to build this great online community, and the people on my social media, they get to see me snap some looks, yes, but more than that, I hope they get to take home some inspiration and they're always connected with God. And so you'll see on the slide that I share whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. That guides my content. That guides what I create. Whether I'm doing posts online, whether I'm doing a video or I'm sharing a keynote, whether I'm coaching a client, whatever it is that I'm doing, this guides my way of life. I want everything I do and everything I say to bring glory to God. And so I just share that with you because even as you start to look for who you are and start to come into the realization of who you are, even as you look back on your life and you start to think about what you want to do with your future, whether you are 10 years old on this call this morning, or you're 15 or 17 or 19 on this call this morning, know this, that whatever you do for God, only that will last, right? God says he will take our gifts and bring us before great men. So the earlier you learn to submit to God, to surrender to God, to live and act in the things of God, even online, the more you will see that God will bring you increase. And that's why the final thing on this slide says, because now unto him who is able to do more than we can ask, think, conceive, or imagine. And my entire life has just been a reflection of this. Y'all, when I was like 8 and 9 years old, and my parents' car was hardly working, and we used to have to be standing up on the corner waiting to catch a ride. Or when I was, like 6 and 7, and my mommy them couldn't afford the school lunches, so they used to have to give us like chicken wings from the night before, wrap up in foil paper, and we had to eat that. I think about all of that, right? That where God has taken us from to where he has me now. And I will assure you that no matter what it is, the circumstances you find yourself in now, what you've been through or what you are still currently having to fight through, God will give you more. You just have to be intentional about serving him. All right. So with that said, let's get into this. Let's see all the beauty and benefits of social media. Even as we're about to have a really good conversation, I'm going to introduce you to some young people who have been making bank, y'all. Everybody do the stocks on stack sign. Y'all could drop the money emoticon if y'all want to, or y'all could just do the dance with me. But these young people have been making bank online, doing their thing. Even before we get into that and I show you what is possible, I want to remind you guys that we have to be safe on the internet. Now, I don't want to drag down the conversation. I don't want y'all to be, like, oh, there's somebody else who's telling us what not to do. But these are very real things. And so even as we look at the good, we have to understand that evil and the bad is present. So what I would like to do now, Shivanya, if everybody could type in chat or somebody could respond to me, and it doesn't have to be Shivanya, it could be somebody else. What are some of the things that you know you need to be aware of when you are online? Can somebody give me one thing that you need to be aware of when you are online?
Fraud. Aria Brown said fraud. Then we have someone saying predators, hackers, ads, scammers, fake accounts.
Yep. Good, y'all got it. Thank you, Shivanya, and thanks for all of you that shared, because that's it. All of these things happen on, and I think she had about 11,000 followers, and they just hacked her Instagram account and started to try to get people to get into Forex trading, right? And they were lying on her and saying how she bought this Mercedes because she was doing this activity, and people trust her because she's an influencer. So all around us, people are trying to hack into your accounts. The devil is busy. He goes around like a roaring lion saying we could seek and destroy. And so for you, it's important for me to tell you that we have to be vigilant online. So I call this my live rules, L-I-V, and that's because I want to stay alive. I want my babies to be alive. So if you want to live online, the L is going to be listen to your parents' rules. Ensure they know what platforms you are and the handles they're using. Here's why. If you got to be lying to them about what you posting, y'all, then why are you posting it? If they can't see it, then who's supposed to see it? Who it's for, right? And so just be careful that you're not being misguided by friends who might have different values than you, or by the systems of the world, that you listen to what your parents say and that they know what you're posting online. I is for individuality. I said this to you guys earlier on, to thine own self be true. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, right? Kim Kardashian have a nice body. She likes to show it off online. We get lots of, pictures of that. And it's unfortunate because Kim is also incredibly smart. She's like trained to be a lawyer. And so she helps people with justice projects and getting people out of jail who were wrongfully accused, but people don't even know about her because they only know about the booty, right? And so you just want to make sure that whatever it is that you're putting online is not just so that people can see your body and love it. Bodies are great. And I have a friend, she's known as the Bowflex Barbie. She's a fitness enthusiast. She does great fitness competitions. She just held a fitness retreat here. Amazing young woman, right? And she shows off her body online because her body is what she is actually selling. She's encouraging people to get fit and healthy in their own bodies. So there's nothing wrong with that based on what your heart is or what your motive is. But if your desire is just for likes and attention because of your body, I just want you to think about that. Just revisit that for a second. And it may be that that's what you're called to do. And I hope that you continue to be in prayer on that. But I don't want you just doing it just off slack. It shouldn't be just because I want people to like me. So I'm going to therefore just show my body. There's just so much more than that, right? Bodies are a good and beautiful thing. They are what we live in. They're what we need to work through. And we want them to be healthy, as I said about my friend Bowflex Barbie. But you just also want to make sure that you're doing this with good intention. So to thine own self be true. What is it that you want to share? What is it that you want to create? Is it worthy? Is it noble? Is it good? Is it lovely? As I indicated in my first slide. Make sure that it's about that, and then it's all good. V for live. Everybody type live in chat. L-I-V. Type live in chat right now. So I can see that you are still with me. And V is going to be for vigilant about those who contact you. If something may seem right, if something don't feel right, it is not right. Let an adult know as soon as possible. Block people that want to send you nude pics. And I'm going to be, well, I can't be too real with y'all. Some of y'all only 10 on the chat. But, if some people are sending you some inappropriate pictures of their genitals or parts of their bodies, or they're asking you to send them pictures of what you're wearing or your underwear and stuff, just be careful. A couple of years ago, I had to tell one of my little cousins to take a picture down because it was just her and her girlfriends having fun. They were having a sleepover. They were like 14 at the time, but somebody was changing in the background so you could see somebody's bra. And it wasn't that they were trying, I think, to be, wild or anything like that. These things happen and you don't always pay attention. but that means that somebody else could take a look at that picture and try to want to do some things that are not appropriate. And so it wasn't appropriate for that picture there. So they were able to take the pictures down and to move on from it. But it's just so important because finally, the E in live is that everyone can see it. Everyone, anywhere in the entire world, people you don't know can see your pictures and they never go away. So even your TikTok videos, when you're all getting loose and you're doing your thing, that never goes away, right? It is there somewhere. And if people want to find it, they can. And so it's just important that even as you have fun, even as you enjoy being a young person, that you try to make smart choices that your future self will thank you for. So those are the rules for social media safety. If you want to live, L, listen to your parents. I, be an individual, do not follow the crowd. Be vigilant about who's contacting you. And E, everyone can see it forever. So be careful. All right. So now that I done do the whole adult thing, right? Tell y'all to be safe. Let's get into some good stuff about social media. So social media can actually help you to develop a lot of opportunities. And so that's why I never speak against it. It is the most powerful form and tool that we have. Now, I will also remind you, earlier this week, social media gone blackout on us, boy. We ain't had no WhatsApp. We ain't had no Instagram. We ain't had no Facebook. Oh, geez. If y'all was stressed out like me and didn't know what to do with yourself, just raise your hand so I know I was not alone. Say, oh my goodness, Shavanya, I didn't think you guys could make it, girl. Crystal, you too, right?
I was actually good. I was good.
You was good. Okay. So only me and Crystal and Jamaica.
I had iPhone Messenger.
And Sierra. So let me tell you how used I am to WhatsApp. I didn't even forget what iPhone Messenger. I had to call my girl. I was going to the opening of Parliament and I needed her to do my makeup. This was Monday and I was remembering that I hadn't asked her to do it yet. And I was like, gee, I can talk to her. I can't message on Instagram. I can't message on Facebook. I can't WhatsApp her. And then I was like, you big silly girl. You have text message. But that's how long it's been, Shavanya, since I used it. So yes, Tarianne, yes, Zara, and yes, Paris. So the reason I say that is, even though Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp went down because they're owned by Facebook, many of the other applications that you use often require a Facebook login to sign out. And so many people didn't even have access to that because it was connected through Facebook. So this was a reminder for those of us that are in the online space that you need to have more than just social media accounts. You also want to make sure that you've got a solid website. And for those of you that are actually going to be taking the business approach to social media, you want to make sure that you have a newsletter. And that way you can reach your people even if social media goes down. You should have their email addresses to send out email notifications. You should have their cell phone numbers to send them text messages, not WhatsApp messages. And so that way you can stay engaged with your community, even if the social media goes bad. But for right now, for the most part, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are great ways for us to do business, especially in the pandemic. We learned that it was so important to have these online presences for your businesses. You are an individual. You're not a business, but you have great capacity to be. And there are some famous people that make a whole lot of money because they are their brands, right? I called Kim Kardashian earlier, and a lot of people see her in a very negative light. And that's, it depends on who's being the judge, right? But we leave all judgment to God. But she and her family have been able to do extremely well because of their online media presence. Somebody like Beyonce, who's a famous singer, has also just gotten the first opportunity to represent Tiffany, which is a jewelry brand, as the first Black person to wear certain stones that the brand carries. And so that's a multi-million-dollar contract for her and Jay-Z. And so all around us, we see that people use this for different things. Now, you guys are students, and the next step for many of you is going to be college. So you need to start asking yourself, how can I use my social media to advance my personal appearance for college, right? So now is a good time to start to research, what do colleges look for? And if it is that colleges are looking for extracurricular activities, you may want to put things on your feed. For many did a project with the Anchor Club. If you guys are out doing some beach cleanup and it's with Key Club, you want to put that up there. If you're at this conference today, you may want to take a picture of you attending the conference in the background and post it and just say, celebrating the morning with my Anglican sisters, so that people know that you are involved in maybe a religious organization. The point is that you want to be intentional about crafting the message. And along with the essay that you send, if somebody reads your essay and the 5 points in your essay are, I'm involved with church, I'm involved in the community, I'm involved with music, I'm involved with soccer, and I love to read, then I should be able to see those same 5 points in your essay reflected on the grid of your Instagram. The same 5 points in your essay reflected in your TikTok videos. So even if you're dancing across the floor with your book in your hand, right? And so people know that this is who you are as a person. So just start to think, how can I be more intentional? And I love that word for you, because you guys are starting to craft your lives very early on. And the fact that you're here means that you're ready for that type of thought. How can I be intentional about making sure that my Instagram feed, that my TikTok stories, that my Snapchat represent who I am, even if I'm having fun? Okay, so social media for college. Some of you may go to college, some of you may go straight into the workforce. Even if you come out of college, unless you go straight into entrepreneurship, you're going to work for someone. And so you want to make sure that, again, very similar to college, your values and your ideals line up with what jobs may be looking for. Now, earlier on, we said eyes to the individual and to thine own self be true. So it's not a matter of hiding who you are. It's just making sure that even as you are doing things, you're doing it well and intentionally so that people recognize that you are who you say you are. And so jobs are going to search for you. Jobs are going to look like HR recruiters will tell you that they go through people's profiles. And if they don't match up with what they're looking for in terms of company representation or company values, they're not going to hire you. And so that's why it's so important to just be careful, right? We can get frustrated. Am I the only one that gets angry? Like sometimes people make you mad and you just want to pop off at them and say certain things, and or somebody say something about you and you feel the need to defend yourself, so you come back at them. All of those things are very normal, but we want to be careful that we don't do that on social media, because again, that E and live is everything is there forever, and people can go back and look at you. And one of the things I want you guys to write down right now as you're taking notes is to go ahead after this conference is done and Google yourself. Google yourself and see what comes up. Just type your name in. Maybe nothing comes up, and that's cool. But if nothing comes up, the challenge is that people feel like you are intentionally avoiding the internet, and then you have something to hide, or something will come up and it may not be what you want it to be. So when I did this right after I graduated college, I'm in a sorority and I became a member of the sorority in college. I Googled my name and all my college friends come up. And y'all, let me tell y'all, Shivanya, let me tell you, Zoe, that was not a good look for your girl. Because my college friends, my line sisters, I love them dearly. We just have the most fun. But what they putting on their social media, what I putting on my social media, that didn't go, Vanessa. So I have to make sure that, even as I Google myself, even as I associate with my friends and the people that I love and I want to spend time with, that they are people in line with my values. Because Google could come up for any employer at any time. And some of the things my friends I posted was not the best reflection of me. So, just check that out and make sure that from this point on, you are again being intentional. Y'all type intentional in the chat. Brianna, type that in chat for me, please. Mrs. Brennan, type that in chat for me. Emery, type intentional in the chat for me, please. The Ante, type that in the chat, intentional. I want y'all to be intentional about, I call your name Deante. I want y'all to be intentional about what you are curating online. Social media can also be great for relationships. Social media, Facebook, is how my husband and I reconnected. We had met at Jump Canoe that one time, sitting on the bench cheering for One Family Warriors, the best Jump Canoe group. And then we reconnected on Facebook. And we reconnected on Facebook because I was sharing a status. I was youth ambassador at the time and traveling, I think, to Sri Lanka to do youth work. And I might have, or somewhere I was going, and I shared that. And then we started talking about, all the ways we wanted to help people. And so it was great for building our personal relationship. But also people I've met in my travels, people I met in university, they're still connected to me because we're all online together. And it's really exciting because I get to see what's unfolding in their life and they get to see what's happening in mine. And then we get to network and collaborate. So social media is great for all of those things, but you have to be, again, intentional about using it. All right. Crystal Stubbs, Shami and Cornish, y'all look sleepy in that church. Everybody jump up right now and say amen, amen. Amen, amen. There you go. I feel like y'all still with me. And now we can move on to the next thing. So we talked about being intentional in the ways that social media can help. I want to take a look at some people who've actually used social media to do this deeply. And Lene. So let's take a look at this. LaShawn and Gia, Davia. I hope y'all looking at this now. This is my good friend Jamal Rule. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Jamal, but Jamal is what we call the celebrity artist. And he has a comic in the paper called Pushing the Envelope. Jamal actually got started working in caricatures at Atlantis, and he would do different people, different famous people. And over time, he went into portraits. And Jamal has done so well that he did a portrait of the Pope, and he actually was flown up to Vatican City to meet the Pope and to present this portrait. Here in this picture, you can see him with Taylor Swift. And so that's another celebrity he's done. And because he's done so many celebrities, he has the title, the celebrity artist. And all of this really came about because Jamal started to post these pictures online. So it's evolved into him going to meet the Pope. It's evolved into him having a weekly salary for his art because it's in the newspaper. It's evolved into him getting private commissions. Like the picture at the top is me and my family, and it was done by some friends of ours who asked him to do it for us for our Christmas gift last year. And so now he's able to, again, turn his social media into a business. He's not just a celebrity artist raising random people. Natalia, I'm going to come to you right now. he is actually helping to make money for himself and his family because he's using his art and he put it online. All right, Natalia, you have a question? Natalia Edgka? Or are you just like doing a little?
No, Mom, I didn't notice it was up.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure. All right, so that's Jamal, and he is an example of an artist that is doing his thing. The next person I wanted to show you is my other friend, ALLAN Wallace, and ALLAN used to draw pictures of people with salt. So like really famous people, if you guys Google ALLAN Wallace Salt Bay, all his pictures of people with salt would come up. He did like Kanye West, he's done like Barack Obama, and of course he did an internet character from a couple years ago who people call Salt Bay. And so he became known as Artist Bay. And he has been featured on every major pop online magazine. This is the Bahamian, Just Like Me and You. And because of his great work online, just creating these pieces online, not only have celebrities seen it and shared it themselves, but he's also been able to get local commissions. So if you guys have ever gone to Traveler's Rest, or a couple of years ago, there was a restaurant in Nassau called Lukakari, all of these places where there are these stunning portraits of people, ALLAN Wallace has done that. And so he's been able to make a living as an artist doing his thing by creating murals, all because he started by putting his stuff online. So the next person I want to introduce you to is an awesome young woman. And before I talk to you about Taylor, do we have any artists in the chat? If any of you are artists, can you raise your hands for me or type it in the chat and just say, see me here, so I know that you are a part of the artist movement crew. I don't know if Aria is an artist or Deshay is an artist or ZARA is an artist. But if any of you are artists, let me know. So, okay, so I got 3 artists here. Awesome. I'm going to show you something a little later on. Yes, I am. I'm going to show you something too. And ZARA, we can figure out what you used to do. Look like you're a stylist. I can see that. Okay, so this is another girl I want to introduce you to. Her name is Taylor Moxie. And Taylor is like so cool. I didn't even know me and Taylor started following each other online because she might have been like 10 when she started to follow me. And I'm really too old for Taylor to follow me. But Taylor is like the coolest kid ever. She's a lot older now. I think she might be 17 now or 16. But by the time Taylor was 10, she was already known as a local child chef in Florida. So she's Bahamian, she's Moxie, but her family had moved to Florida. And she just used to cook. She'd cook and she'd put videos online. Over time, she started and got invited to do like special celebrity appearances with different celebrity chefs that were coming into South Florida. And she became Chef Taylor Moxie. Now, Taylor also has a passion for reading. And so what she did, in addition to being a celebrity chef, was to take all these books that she had and create a mobile library so that kids could have access to books. So Taylor's been featured on tons of different news media for this work. And, you know, it's really just helped to build her up to become a local entrepreneur, even at the age of 10, because she was a chef and she's into books and she's giving people opportunities and she's serving. That's the biggest lesson you could take away from your social media. Does your social media serve someone? Is there someone besides your friends who want to like your picture who is getting value out of what you bring? Are you adding light to the world? Are you being liked? Are you being salt? And if you are, then you're going to find that you get more opportunities. So now Taylor sells different products and she's able to sell those products because she's built this huge online following by starting her mobile book library and of course being Taylor the Chef. This is ZARA BRYAN, and ZARA is actually a student at Lifer Key School here in Nassau. And I think that ZARA maybe, if Cairo is 4, then ZARA would be 9. ZARA may be 9 now, possibly turning 10. And when ZARA was in the 2nd grade, ZARA had a very negative experience with bullying. Now, I don't know how many of you have been bullied. I would hope that we don't have any bullies on the call, but I know that sometimes things can happen. And I see Shivani has raised her hand. I've had some negative experiences with bullies, right? And it's not so much that these are the bullies that will push you down or the bullies that like trying to take your money, but people can just say mean and nasty things and they can lie on you. And that was my experiences with bullies. I also had a very negative experience online years and years ago. There was something called Freeport Teens. And when I tell you it's old, like somebody on my have to ask your parents about it. But people would just put harmful things there about other people. And I had somebody write a very bad story about me that was untrue and put it online. And I remember just feeling so sad about it because it wasn't true, but I couldn't do anything about it. If you've ever had that experience, I want you to know that you're not alone, and you can raise your hand if you'd like to say that, you know, I've had that experience as well. But if you haven't, then thank God. Aria, I'm so sorry. And I want you to know that you're not by yourself, that many of us have had this challenge. And so to all of you that have felt this way, I'm sorry. I really am. But I trust that God will redeem us and that he will, you know, not allow that to continue. For those of you that do not do this, but know other people who are doing it, discourage your friends from ruining people's reputations. Discourage your friends from telling lies and sharing misinformation. Oftentimes, there are issues of jealousy involved and issues, people have their own problems and they're trying to put it on someone else. And so as much as possible, we are called to be peacemakers. So I really want to encourage you, if you don't take anything else from this presentation, do not be an online bully. Do not share negative things about people online. Do not pull pictures down and laugh about it or send it to other people. Don't talk about your teachers online. I know a friend of mine who was our head girl and then had her head girl badge removed because her and some other friends who were all prefects were, just sharing their frustrations about their teacher, but they did it online. Somebody in the circle couldn't be trusted, fellow Judas, shared it with the principal, and then everybody lost their prefect badges and their head girl clip. So yes, it's normal to not like people. It may be normal to have feelings of jealousy or anger or frustration, but let's figure out some constructive ways to deal with that rather than bullying people. All right, cool. So let's continue. So yeah, so Zara was bullied. And what Zara did with her bullying experience is Zara decided to write about her feelings. And in writing about her feelings in just a regular journal, and talking about it with her mom, Zara decided she wanted to turn that into a book of positive affirmations for other kids who were being bullied like her. And so she wrote this awesome book called Black Girl Magic. And Zara wrote this book. It came out last year. It came out last year around September. And since that time, Zara's already been featured in 10 different news stations. She's done conferences in the US, and her Instagram is just all of these pictures of these beautiful kids who love her book and who the book has been empowering. And so she's only 9, but she's a writer and she has a book. And she just published it, I think, via Amazon. And so if any of you are writers, if you're a writer, type that in chat or raise your hand so I can see who my writers are. I don't know if Davy is a writer or LaShawn is a writer or Lene is a writer or Deante, my girl, is a writer. But if you are a writer or you have any sort of experiences, then you get to share that. All right, Jakora? So that is one way that you can use your social media to talk about your bullying experiences and help to turn that around for somebody else. So those were some Bahamian people that we wanted to celebrate. And now let's take a look at some international child social media stars. Ryan's Toy Review, that's going to be the little guy in the bottom right corner. His name is Ryan. And let me tell you all about Ryan. Ryan worth $32 million. Oh, I didn't start that money. Yep, Deante. $32 million. That's how much this 10-year-old is worth, Miss Rogers. Way more than me. Probably way more than a lot of us. $32 million is a lot of money. But Ryan started out just opening toys online. He opened toys on YouTube. His parents obviously were very involved with this process. And he just said, I like this. No, I don't like that. And over time, he grew the most followers on YouTube. And his YouTube deal led to other deals. So he started to get into making toys. And so I actually have some of Ryan's World's toys in my house. My daughter has a ball that she bounces on that's from Ryan's Toy Review. And so it's possible just through YouTube and then great business deals thereafter to end up with a net worth of $32 million at 10 years old to be worth $32 million. This guy sitting right next to Ryan, the handsome black guy with the dimples, his name is Mosiah Bridges. This is an old picture of Mosiah, but Mosiah started to make ties at 10 years old. He's a fashionable guy. He loved his bow ties. He would just pull different prints out of his mommy's closet that she wasn't using anymore. Any old clothes from his Grammy, he'd take them, he'd turn them into bow ties, and he started to sell them in the neighborhood. So they put the ties online, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to wear Mosiah's ties. So he's dressed 2 presidents. Barack Obama, who we all know and love, and then President George Bush, who you might not know, but he was the president before Barack Obama. And now he's worth $1 million at 19 because he sold ties, right? And so do we have any creatives in the room? Anybody that likes to put stuff together? There is a huge space, probably the biggest space on Instagram in terms of video content that is consumed are people that make things, crafts, whether you're putting together wreaths or you're putting together headbands or you're putting together makeup. People love to see people make things with their hands. And Proverbs 31 tells us that a diligent woman makes things with her hands. So what are you good at? That's what I want you to start to think about. And sometimes the things that we're good at, we don't even think we're good at, Brianna, because it just comes so naturally to us, right? Like, so we could do this just without thinking about it, Wanisha. And so it doesn't even occur to us that somebody would pay for this. But Farah, I assure you, if you are good at something, start to share it online in a very positive way, and you might be surprised about what comes from that. Now, after that, we have the McClure twins, and the McClure twins have 2.1 million YouTube followers. And they make about $950,000, that's just $50,000 short of $1 million a year on YouTube alone. But they're also children's fashionistas. And so they do a lot of runway shows. They model a lot of clothes on their Instagram for different brands. And so that also brings money into them. So their colleges have been paid for since they were like 4 years old. And now they're just making bank, right? And so we ain't mad at them. And they just talk about their regular lives, right? Their kids, and obviously their parents are involved in these processes. But I wanted these to be actual examples for you guys of what is possible. And I hope St. Paul's Parish is hearing this, that there are things that are possible for you to do with just a camera and a phone. You have it anyway. Let's use your smartphone to do smart things. So how can you make sense of this entire process? What does this mean for you, Wanisha and Vanessa? Y'all is twins or y'all is sisters?
Sisters.
Sisters. Okay. All right. So Wanisha and Vanessa, let's talk about this. The first thing you can start to do is you can start to write. And a lot of us think that we can't write because maybe we may spell a word wrong, or we can't remember where the comma is supposed to go. Child, my post-day being a hot mess. English was not my best subject. Creative writing, yes. English, no. And so I've used a tool called Grammarly, and it just helps me to be a little bit better at getting some of those words right, like there, and there. It's the same thing, right? Why does English have to be so confusing? And so, Shivani, you know what I'm saying? So you can start to just write, but it doesn't even have to be online yet. Start to write your own thoughts down. And this is good for self-reflection and self-awareness. This is good because God can start to speak to you more when you slow down. And when you're starting to just think about your day and share on your thoughts, He's able to then utilize that to get into your spirit and talk to you, right? And to be with you. So start to just write your thoughts. And as you write your thoughts, things will become clearer, right? And you will get to determine what you want to share from what you don't want to share. There's a very famous lady right now. Her name is Tabitha Brown, and she just released a book called Feeding the Soul. And she got famous off of the internet. She just would show different entrepreneurs on her Instagram page on Mondays. And over time, she built community. She's a vegan chef. And, you know, she got really famous because somebody tried to diss her, a bully, Wendy Williams, tried to talk bad about her. And Tabitha just responded with a prayer. And that made her even more famous than before. And shortly after that, she released her book, and it's a New York Times bestseller. And, you know, she's just doing incredibly well, but she started on social media. And Tabitha was on recently, and she said, you know, just write down your thoughts, put it in a journal, because you may think that your life is not important, but your life is the exact tool somebody else needs to guide them. And someday, it may not be today that you decide to be an author. You may decide to be an author years later. I released my first book last year when I was 31, but there were stories in that from when I was in grade 4. In the second chapter of the book is the story from grade 4 that I remember clear as day, right? So write down your thoughts, because what's happening to you matters. This is the foundation of your life. Start to write down your thoughts, and you can start to see patterns. Maybe you start to see things that you do want to share, like my friend Zara and her bullying story. And maybe you just want to share positive words with people, words that you can use to make you feel better, that might also make other people feel better. And in doing that, you'll start to build a following. The second thing I want you to do, and we talked about it at the very beginning of this, when we talked about our safety rules, is to make sure that you're getting your parents' permission to share what you want to share. So all of these kids, they might have been their ideas, but their parents had to help them to get there, right? And so we want to make sure that even if it's not your parents, because they may not have, maybe they're not tech savvy, or maybe they don't know about business, maybe you have another mentor that's helping you with that, but that your parents always have permission, because as long as you're under 18, they are responsible for you. And if should something happen, or somebody wants to be negative toward you in the business sense, or even make mean comments about what you're doing on social media, which can happen because the enemy is real, you just want to make sure that your parents got your back and can protect you from that as much as possible. So get your parents' permission if you decide that you want to move into the business side of your social media life. One of the ways that you can start to plan your content is to just outline your stories. So if you decide, you know, I want to share on bullying, I want to share on positive words that help me through bullying, I want to share beauty tips, I want to share makeup tips, whatever it is, just start to plan that out, right? And say, okay, I want to share makeup tips today. What are some ways that I can do my makeup so that I still look like me? I still look 14 rather than 25. And so maybe the tip is eyeliner and lip gloss, or just lip gloss, or how to comb your eyebrows when you can't wear eyeliner to school, something like that. And you want to do that, then just write that out first. So my thought is, I want to share how to cool my eyebrows since I can't wear eyebrow pencil to school. And what are 3 steps I do that? And so I write that down, 1, 2, 3. These are 3 steps to make your eyebrows look nice, even if you can't wear eyebrow pencil. and then practice reading that in front of the mirror, and then decide that you want to record it. Go ahead and record it, press play, and send it. See what happens, right? Now, I will tell you that being a social media pioneer at your age will come at a cost. We talked earlier about bullying, and the fact of the matter is that the more you let your light shine, sometimes your peers may not be feeling good about themselves, and they may want to make jokes about you, or they may want to be mean about you, or make your work seem like it's not valuable. But it's so important to understand that your internet community is going to be so much bigger than your school community. But you have to ask yourself if you're ready for that. And that's why having this conversation with your parents is important, and understanding why you want to do this is important. Because not everybody's going to take everything you give, even if it is positive, and be positive about it. But those are some ways that you can start to streamline your thoughts and your process if it is that you decide that you want to do something with social media, to turn it into a business, or to turn it into a movement or a community or a group of people that get together and share their thoughts about something in a very positive way. Here are some social media tools that can help you to do things online. And so for my parishes that are watching, big up yourself, St. Paul's Parish. Big up yourself, St. Paul's Parish. Let me see y'all wave your hands or something, man. Don't be dry. So y'all St. Paul's, y'all got to do it for St. Paul's. Y'all do send up some party symbols in this chat so St. Paul's could see we still awake, man. Because they falling asleep in the back there. I know what's going on. Thank you, Shivanya. Thank you. Aurora, Farah, send me a party symbol, please, so we know y'all still with us, because St. Paul's falling asleep and I don't know what's going on there. But St. Paul's in particular, if you guys were having a cake sale next week for CYM or for the altar servers, if you wanted to extend the invitation and send it out through WhatsApp to all the groups that the church has, whatever you're doing, you could use some of these social media tools to do that. My favorite thing in the world is Canva. Everybody type Canva in the chat, please. Yeah, Shivani, you know about Canva. Canva is life, okay? So y'all doing BGCSE coursework right now. Canva, life, okay? Whatever report you want to create, if you want to do a business card, a flyer for the Key Club bake sale, a flyer for the youth choir, car wash, whatever it is that you're doing, Canva got your back, boo. Canva got your back. You can go on there and create literally anything, including really fun Instagram reels. This is a good way to make even your TikToks appear prettier, because you can do so much editing with Canva. So I want you guys to check out canva.com. The other thing is TikTok. Y'all love yourself some TikTok, and that's good. What I want you to start to do is seeing how can I take the fun I have on TikTok and make it even better. So if it is that you want to do cooking videos because you like to cook, right? And you want to share with people that that's a special skill you have, then can you start to add some cooking even as you're doing your TikTok dances, right? A friend of mine is a coach like me, and she coaches women on how to be their authentic selves and to show up in the workplace, excuse me, as best they can. And she gained like 1,000 followers in 2 days on TikTok, just sharing inspirational messages. And those 1,000 followers converted into like 10 people that wanted to buy her course, right? And so she was able to take the fun she's having on TikTok and turn that into money for herself. So start to think about what are the ways that I can be more intentional about how I use my TikTok. How can I share the things I like? Do I like to sew? Did I do a bow today? And can I put that to music and make that fun, get engagement, so that people are seeing that this is not just about me dancing all the time, but this is who I am as a creative person. And can this then help me with my entrepreneurship business, my job, or college? Clubhouse is cool. You may not know about Clubhouse yet. And again, this is one of those ones where you want to make sure that your parents approve of it. But if you guys can start to have some serious conversations about things that's bothering you on Clubhouse, I think it would be really good. Some things that you may want to talk about that adults may not even know. You may even want to do a session on that, right? Like things that your teenager wish you knew, mommy and daddy, right? And you can invite 5 other friends and you guys can just share on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is not visual, so it's not like Zoom where we can see each other. It's all audio, so you don't have to be fixed. It could be laying down, maybe it could be in your eye, you ain't brush your teeth for the morning. You could hop on Clubhouse and have a conversation. And you can talk about, you know, maybe dating violence in teenagers, or how to know whether or not I should date him in school, BGCSE prep, like whatever you want to talk about, even if it's math homework, understanding how to do trigonometry, like whatever it is that's your thing, you could get on Clubhouse and talk about it. And the best part is, like all of these other apps, Clubhouse is so open to the world. So you might be surprised who's joining you from Kenya, who's joining you from South Africa, who's joining you from Australia, who's joining you from New York, all sharing on the same things as relates to math or boys or whatever it is that you feel like you want to talk about. The final thing I like, and this is from my artists who shouted themselves out early and said that they were artists. I know that there were 3 of them that raised their hands. is this place called mybaby.design. Now, I just learned about this place. It's relatively new, but a friend of mine did it. And I'm going to do it for my daughter too. If you like sketches, if you like to do any type of design, you can actually just do something as simple as a scribble on a paper. You take a picture of it, you upload it to this website, and they send you back a canvas print of your design. And so if you're an artist and you want to start selling stuff, right? And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can sell a painting for $40, but you could go on there, upload this picture, design it, and get it back for less than that, and then make a sale and a commission. So these are just some tools that I thought you guys might find interesting and helpful as you start to figure out how you're going to use social media to your advantage with your businesses and with your college careers and with your jobs. And I hope that you guys will be serious about this. You know, the internet is a great place. It's a scary place and some bad things can happen. And I think we ought to acknowledge that. But there's so much more good that can come from it if we decide that we are going to be the good people to use it for a good way. God says to us, whatever our hands find to do it with all your might. And now I have to ask you, since you spend so much time with your hands on your phone, are you doing it with all your might? Are you doing it with due diligence? Are you doing it with intentionality? Are you doing it so that you can leave your footprint on the earth, so that people could see your good works and give honor and glory to Him? I've been incredibly blessed over my lifetime to go from a girl that was standing on the corner with a bummy looking for a ride to school, to being a woman that could drive my own car and take my daughter to school myself, to being a woman that gets to take my car around the world, literally, and drive to states across the US to share my message. But I also get to go on virtual stage in South Africa and virtual stages in Dubai and use the internet in front of me to share my gift with the world. God has given every single one of you a gift, everyone. He left no man behind. In the parable of the talents, He gave some 2, some 3, some 1, but each according to His measure, each according to what He knew they could do. And so what has He given you? And how can you use the phone in your fingertips to take that message to the world and bring glory to God? I hope you guys figure it out. I've had such an awesome time chatting with you today. And if you ever need to reach me, this is my name, Anastarcia Palacious. I am on Instagram as Home of Stars and Twitter as Home of Stars. I just downloaded TikTok, y'all. Give me like 2 months. I can figure that out before December. And of course, my website is homeofstars.com. On Facebook, I am Anastarcia. You can find me at Anastarcia. And I hope that we stay connected. I want nothing but the best for you. I just pray that God would take each of you on this call today, that something would speak to your heart, whether it's me or another speaker, that you would recognize how valuable and special you are to Him, that He has called you for such a time as this right here, right now, that this is not by chance that you are sitting here with us and hearing these words, and that whether it's today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, you will always remember that a group of women took their Saturday and dedicated it to you because you were special enough to hear this message. And know that He will never leave you or forsake you, even when you feel like you're having